What I'm going to be doing now is documenting a real-world example of crime that typically doesn't happen, such as officers being shot in Portland, Oregon, and how it is correlated to the ongoing record geomagnetic storm. This is where we're at. Each bar represents a half hour. We can go over to spaceweather.com, an accredited solar research website, and we can see the charts here. And we are still in the eye of the storm, and beautiful auroras are being seen around the world. So I'm the only person that talks about the war, the crime, the human abduction, the other aspects, not just that. Not just that. I also talk about the spiritual and things that are very hypothetical regarding powers of the mind. So I am balanced. Others, they tend to stay around the topic of whether the grid's going to go out or not, satellites going down, technology, the influence over weather, the influence over climate, and then others focus on their understanding of spirituality without necessarily looking at the possessions that are taking place. And that is part of the spiritual discussion, to talk about when people are being taken over. That's part of being spiritual, is to have a healthy, honest discussion about spiritual warfare. So that's where my work goes. I talk about the paranormal influence in my second book. I will read you portions of it so that you can be illuminated also with this perspective and go out and warn others. Now let's go to Portland, Oregon, and hear from the Portland Police spokesman on the recent event. We'll talk more.
Public Information Manager here at the Portland Police Bureau. We are, of course, here to discuss the events of last night, where two of our officers were shot while on duty. I can share that at 8:21 last night, officers assigned to our North Precinct responded to the area of Northeast 21st Avenue and Northeast Clackamas Street. The caller, who contacted 911, reported that a man he did not know had threatened him with a knife. Officers arrived and located the suspect on Northeast Clackamas Street between Northeast 16th Avenue and Northeast 17th Avenue. Sometime during this encounter, the suspect fired shots at the officers, striking both of them. The officers were transported to the hospital by ambulance. I can share that one officer sustained 2 gunshot wounds and the other sustained 1. The suspect fled on foot, and additional officers immediately set up a perimeter. As you know by now, a large-scale search followed, hours-long search, mind you, with our Special Emergency Reaction Team, Crisis Negotiation Team, and Air Support Unit. We used our Unmanned Aircraft Systems Unit, also known as drones, as well as a canine, but we were unable to locate the suspect and suspended the search early this morning. We did release a photo of the suspect. Here are 2 images right here. He appears to be a white male in his mid-30s with facial hair. He was wearing a black baseball cap, black jacket, over a gray hooded sweatshirt. He had black pants and black shoes. He was also seen with a black backpack. We have received numerous tips from the public and want to thank everyone for their assistance. If you live in this area, we ask that you check your security cameras if you have not been contacted by police yet. And once again, please email any tips to crimetips@police.portlandoregon.gov.
The other thing that he mentioned was that the last time we saw an officer-related shooting in Portland where I'm from, so I have a lot of spiritual perspectives on what happened in Portland and why, cause and effect, and where it's going from here. The last time there was an officer-related shooting in Portland, Oregon, or last time an officer was shot. And this is from OPB. Okay, so that's basically over 4 years. What you want to do then at that point is to see if this is a consistent pattern. Because what we can see clearly is where we are right now, what is taking place, geomagnetic activity for about a day now, and what took place in Portland, Oregon, took place only a few hours after this started. And there is a pattern in violence that I've seen in the Portland news when there are geomagnetic storms. And who knows what happens that's not being reported. So you could say that I am trying to reach out to this magical former homeland of mine, because in that place of magic, there's also wickedness. There's the light and the dark. It's not all spiritual. Not everybody's ascending. Not at all, and I'm documenting that. There are those that walk amongst us that are not zombies, but they are seemingly overshadowed by something. And I have been hypothesizing this connection between people being taken over and doing the unspeakable and geomagnetic storms for a long, long time, and it has remained in the fringe, on the outskirts. It has been considered crazy for a long time. And now is a time where a lot of things are erupting in society, where a lot of things are happening. This is a time in which there's a manifestation of great evil. There are people that are looking for answers. There are people that are already looking at the changes in the sun. They're seeing that there are people committing acts of crime. Things are happening that they haven't seen before or for many years, if at all, right? And it seems that nobody is making this connection when it comes to the YouTube channels that talk about solar flares, and nobody in the world of journalism is making the connection that talks about crime, that this is also taking place in the news regarding the sun. And then, of course, you have people becoming extra irritated to the energies of others. And people might choose to, during such periods, speak their minds, speak out, communicate a certain truth, and that can and often does lead to conflict. So what I'm doing now is, and again, we're looking at the geomagnetic activity of August 27th, 2021, and I found that in that story also, we have a connection, because as we look in the days prior, we don't see any significant activity. Okay, prior to the event, so we're all the way back to August 27th, and we could continue, but for time, we're going to just go forward. So we see that it's normal, and then we get up to August 27th, 2021, and here we have geomagnetic activity. We go the next few days, and it's quiet. Next few days, and it's quiet. So one of the things, this is where we are right now, and there'll be more information tomorrow and the day after that with regards to things that happen. And some stories won't actually break for multiple weeks or multiple days. And so what a scientist could do, somebody trying to quantify this, a journalist, for example, or someone getting ready to give information to the journalist, is to go back to certain periods in the past after the smoke is cleared, and especially when we ourselves have a clear head, because I can tell you as a public speaker that I make more mistakes in some cases during a geomagnetic storm because there's something in the wind or something that can cause, it's like there's a sense of static, basically. And I ultimately think that these are empowering times. I think that these are times in which we should focus on meditation, enhancing exercise, engaging in certain types of travel. But a lot of people aren't convinced that people respond to the changes in the sun, whether it be a positive change or a negative change. And I'm suggesting that you can go back to these periods and look at various news reports, not necessarily crime statistics, but reports from the news, different jurisdictions, different zip codes, different cities, different states, and looking for stories that normally don't appear, and then looking for patterns. And so I would say that we, the human species, we have a real wild card when it comes to what people call mental illness, or the wild, unpredictable behavior from our fellow humans that in some cases turns violent. And many people are vulnerable in a day and age in which we are living alongside other humans, and there is these potentials. But there is no perfect way to prepare for this. Spirituality is important, understanding why things may happen the way that they happen, and that police are not a fix-all to these problems, nor are having a large stockpile of weapons, nor is it mindful necessarily to even go to war, okay, against that which is attacking us. I do believe in self-defense, but I also believe that the people at large are being baited into some sort of a conflict. And people need to know how to, at minimum, stop the conflict within themselves. Okay, so during a period like this, a person should know, I can actually hear people speeding outside. Okay, and I'm actually going to be responding whether I like it or not. energetically to the energies of other people. Okay, and they're influenced by the energies of other people. They're influenced by the news. Their emotions are going to be going up in response to the news. And then my sensitivity will be picking up on where they're at. And right now in this particular time-space reality, with where people are consciously, with where they're putting their attention, with regards to these screens and the dark content on the screens and the lack of community. It's not that the sun is to blame. It's not that the internet is to blame. But the modern expression of consciousness, that is what we need to look at, because we could do something more mindful with this. If there were people that I knew were serious, that were on this newsletter, that were interested in a guided meditation, you can call it, where we contemplate certain things, focus on certain prayers, synchronized meditations, focused on certain symbols or other things that merge our powers together, I would be doing them. That's ultimately what I want to be doing. I want to be expressing a more powerful version of myself with others, other than just simply reacting to the energies of others and commentating on it or on it. You know, there's a lot of aggression that I pick up on at the store from the people that are managing the self-checkout machines. There's a lot of this, next. You know, a lot of this impatient ordering people to basically act like prisoners when they're purchasing food. And being that I don't have any real experiences with other people, and that the people here are acting like machines and they don't really have empathy with regards to the people that are suffering, my only experience in some cases is with the people at the market. And I've got to shield myself and not take it personal and understand that this is what is taking place with the collective right now with these technologies that people are immersed with. And I'm working on just being grateful that I am somewhat isolated from the worst of it, from the worst of what is being seen from humanity at this time.
So the timing of this event, in conjunction with the full moon, I find to be very, very interesting. So solar cycles and arts, human creativity, new ideas, music, movies, trends, pop culture, so many different changes, be they positive or negative, that's all in the eye of the beholder and the level of consciousness of the people experiencing the changes on the earth. Now, the powers that be use the solar cycle by staging events, panics, wars. This is a really critical part of my presentation, which we have very little time for. But they do this to provoke a certain emotional response in human beings on earth that are flooded with an excess level of energy in the human body. A sophisticated strategic use of problem reaction solution, launching certain projects forward during solar peaks and celestial events, based on the belief that their luck will be magnified. Moving certain goals forward, as I said earlier, during minimums, when they expect the least amount of resistance. Dark occultists behind the powers that be understand the makeup of the human body and our stress responses. Here's something from NOAA and NASA that also confirms the magnetic flux on 9/11. The realities we have to face is that we're at different levels of our ability to be grounded and deal with this information, to deal with the energy coming in from the sun. And some people are more insusceptible than others. Some people just prefer to be controlled or control others. This is why we can't have a collective shift in consciousness as long as some people are still choosing to remain in a slave state of consciousness. How solar activity impacts human beings, chronobiology, is an overview. How we're affected by the sun, different hours of the day. But that's just the start. It gets deeper, much deeper. How solar activity impacts human beings. It's neutral. It's not good, bad, evil, positive, negative. It's energy. And how we are responding to that energy, it's different. We respond to this in different ways. The sun brings a cycle of birth and death, or creation and destruction. Solar flares affect the central nervous system, all brain activity, including the pineal gland, including equilibrium along with human behavior and all psychological, mental, emotional responses, and just about every other aspect of the body. New scientists have talked about it. Does the Earth's magnetic field cause suicides? And what's most interesting about it, there's also been lots of studies on how magnetic fields, natural ones and artificially created ones in labs, can cause changes in the brainwave state, can cause changes in our cells.